There's a moment when you realize you're no longer waiting for permission. Not from people, not from circumstances, not even from your past. You've already outgrown the version of yourself that needed constant reassurance. You notice it in small ways. You don't explain your choices as much. You don't overthink silence. You don't rush to fix what isn't yours to fix. You've learned that clarity doesn't come from control. It comes from honesty. Honesty about what drains you, honesty about what feels right, honesty about what you're no longer willing to carry. You're not pulling away from life. You're stepping into it more intentionally. You pause before committing. You listen before responding. You choose rest without guilt. That's not laziness, that's a discernment. You've realized that peace isn't fragile. It doesn't disappear the moment things get uncertain. It stays, as long as you stay aligned with yourself. You no longer mistake urgency for importance, or intensity for connection, or familiarity for safety. You're paying attention now. Your body tells you when something is off. Your intuition nudges you when something is right. And instead of questioning it endlessly, you trust it. That trust changes everything. You stop chasing outcomes. You stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios. You stop shrinking just to stay comfortable. You don't need to prove growth. You live it. Some days will still feel unclear. Some decisions will still take time, but they won't shake you the way they used to, because you're not reacting from old patterns anymore. You're responding from awareness. This phase isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention, but it's powerful. It's the moment you stop asking, "What if I'm wrong?" and start asking, "What feels true?" And from there, your life doesn't need to rush forward. It moves steadily, with intention, with self-trust, with direction. As this shift settles in, you start noticing how differently you hold space. You don't rush to fill silence anymore. You let moments breathe. You let conversations land without forcing direction. You're realizing that not every pause needs interpretation. Some pauses are simply rest. There's also a change in how you deal with uncertainty. You don't treat it like a threat. You treat it like information. You observe instead of assume. You stay curious instead of defensive. That curiosity keeps you open, and openness keeps you steady. You've learned that clarity often shows up after you stop pushing for it, so you ease back. You give yourself permission to not know everything yet. And surprisingly, that's when understanding starts to form. You're also more aware of how your energy moves through a day, what depletes it, what restores it. You don't ignore those signals anymore. You adjust, not dramatically, not impulsively, just enough to stay aligned. You're no longer trying to manage everyone's expectations. You're managing your capacity. You recognize that saying yes too quickly costs more than saying no honestly, so you choose slower commitments, cleaner decisions. You don't need intensity to feel alive. You don't need chaos to feel important. You're learning that calm can be productive, that consistency builds more than bursts of effort ever did. This phase is teaching you restraint, not as limitation, but as strength. You're beginning to understand that growth doesn't always add things. Sometimes it removes noise. And as that noise fades, something clearer is emerging underneath. Not an answer yet, not a conclusion, just direction. And direction, when trusted, has a way of leading you exactly where you need to go. With this steadiness, something else becomes clear. You're no longer trying to explain yourself in every space. You've learned that the right environments don't demand proof. They respond to presence. You start noticing how different it feels when you don't over-prepare, when you trust yourself to handle things as they arrive instead of rehearsing outcomes. There's a subtle confidence growing here, not the loud kind, the kind that comes from knowing you can adapt. You're also more aware of your boundaries now, not as walls, but as filters. You let in what supports you, you let go of what drains you, and you stop feeling guilty for either. You're realizing that alignment isn't about having everything figured out, it's about recognizing what doesn't belong anymore. Old habits feel heavier now. Old dynamics feel slower, not wrong, just out of sync. And instead of forcing yourself to fit, you step back. You observe how things respond when you're not over-investing. Some connections strengthen, others fade quietly. You let both happen. There's relief in not having to hold everything together, in allowing life to show you what stays when you stop gripping it. You're also learning to trust your timing. You don't jump at every opportunity, you sense into it. If it feels rushed, you pause. If it feels steady, you move. That discernment didn't come overnight. It came from experience, from moments where pushing cost more than waiting. And now you carry that wisdom with you. You don't need certainty to move forward. You need resonance. And you're getting better at recognizing it. This phase isn't about arrival, it's about calibration, about fine-tuning how you move, what you choose, and how much of yourself you give. Something is organizing itself quietly beneath the surface, not ready to be named yet, not ready to be finished, but definitely moving. As this calibration continues, you begin to notice a deeper change. You're not just choosing differently, you're seeing differently. Situations that once felt urgent now feel optional. Not because they don't matter, but because you trust yourself to decide without pressure. You don't confuse momentum with meaning anymore. You let things unfold at a pace that keeps you present. There's also a softness returning, not weakness, sensitivity without overwhelm. You feel more connected to your body's responses. When something aligns, there's ease. When it doesn't, there's resistance you no longer ignore. You don't override that information, you listen. You're learning that clarity often comes through sensation, not logic. A tight chest is information. A calm breath is guidance. You're also less interested in convincing anyone of your process. You don't narrate your growth. You live it. And that changes how others interact with you. Some lean in, some step away. You don't chase either. You're realizing that peace doesn't come from having no conflict. It comes from knowing you can handle conflict without losing yourself. So when something challenges you now, you don't immediately defend or withdraw. You stay curious. What is this asking me to learn? What is this revealing? That curiosity keeps you grounded. It keeps you from repeating old loops. You're also noticing how much energy you regain by simplifying. Fewer explanations, fewer mental negotiations, fewer emotional cleanups after conversations that went nowhere. You're conserving yourself. Not out of fear, out of respect. You understand now that your attention is a resource, and you've stopped giving it away just to feel involved. This phase isn't loud, it isn't visible from the outside, but internally, things are reorganizing. Beliefs are settling, values are clarifying, your sense of direction is sharpening, not into a destination yet, just into a clearer way of moving. And that way of moving is changing everything quietly. And this is where it settles. Not as an ending, but as a knowing. You're no longer searching for reassurance. You're no longer waiting for permission. You're no longer asking life to prove itself, before you trust your place in it. You feel rooted now. Not stuck, rooted. You understand that clarity doesn't always arrive as answers. Sometimes it arrives as peace with what is. You move forward without urgency. You pause without guilt. You choose without overthinking. That balance didn't come from control. It came from awareness. You've learned how to stay with yourself through uncertainty, through choice, through quiet moments where nothing is resolved yet, but nothing feels wrong either. This is stability. Not the kind that resists change, but the kind that can hold it. You don't need everything to be certain anymore. You need alignment, and you recognize it when it's there. From here on, what's meant for you won't require self-abandonment. It won't demand urgency. It won't ask you to shrink or rush or explain. It will meet you where you are, present, steady, and clear. This season didn't make you harder. It made you honest. And that honesty is what carries you forward now. Quietly, confidently, whole.